Hey, what's up, guys? This is a little bit different of a video than I've made in the past. It's more like front-end UI related, but I saw this component, I guess you'd say, when I logged into my CapitalOne app the other day on my iPad, and it had this really nice tab navigation with this animation effect where basically each of these things that you see on your screen is a separate, I guess you'd call it tab or page, however you want to refer to it. And as you click on one of these, that circular, I guess, pill you'd call it, slides, right? Animates to the right or animates to the left, depending on where you're navigating. So imagine, you click on benefit, and then that white pill is going to slide. Whoops, wrong direction. That white pill is going to slide that way when you click on it. And so I thought, this would be I really like this. It looks nice. I like the way it works. I wonder if I could recreate this for like a website, right? Like in a web UI. And obviously this isn't like groundbreaking design, right? You see this in a lot of places. I see it much more in apps that are on my iPad than anywhere else. So I thought, well, let's go ahead and try to recreate that. And I just thought I'd make a video where I just sit down and try to make it. I'm not going to make it identical, but same kind of idea, right? So you could, style it or, modify it however you want to, but the basic idea is you have this like pill bar that is your nav bar, and then your active tab or your active page is highlighted by that different colored smaller pill, and then there's some sliding animation. So let's go ahead and jump into that, and maybe it'll just be interesting to see how I approach it. And maybe if I am doing something wrong, you can tell me I'm doing something wrong. So this is the goal. This is what we're aiming for. So I'm just going to set that off to the side for now, and let's get set up here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to the place where I keep all my projects. I'll just make a new directory called, I don't know, animated pill nav, and then we'll cd into that animated pill nav. And I'm going to do this with just vanilla JS, vanilla HTML, vanilla CSS, because I don't know, it's fun sometimes just to use the simplest approach. So I'm just going to make a new item here called index.html. I'm going to go ahead and open this up in NeoVim. And then I'm going to switch to my other PowerShell tab here, and I'm going to go to that same animated, what did I call it? Animated pill, I think is what I called it. Oh, software animated. There we go. And then I'm going to use MPX Live Server, which is just kind of like, if you're familiar with like Live Server in Visual Studio Code, basically the same idea. And we're just going to serve this on our local host, and this way we can style it, make changes, and see those changes in real time. All right, let's go ahead and open my index.html file. We're going to use some of my friendly snippets to generate kind of a boilerplate. We'll give this a title. We'll call this, what do you want to call this? We'll just call it animated pill navigation, like this. We don't need a link to an external. We're just going to do everything inline CSS, inline this update. There we go. And then we're going to need a script tag. We're going to need a little bit of JavaScript, so we're going to have a script tag in here. Not very much JavaScript, I think, to accomplish this, but we'll see. And then we'll do everything inline, so we'll just have a style tag like that. And the first thing I usually always do is I usually do a quick, easy little reset, which is just going to be a star. And we're going to, yep, just what Copilot said. Actually, I'm going to disable Copilot just so that I don't have a backseat driver as I'm doing this. The other thing I usually do is I usually set the HTML and the body to 100% height. And then for the purposes of what we're doing, I'm just going to make the body a Flex container, obviously. And yes, I know I could do this all in like something like CodePen, but it's much more fun to use NeoVim. All right, so we'll set this to a Flexbox container. We'll say display flex. We'll say flex direction is going to be column. We want to add a little bit of padding around this just so our navigation stands off from the top of the page. And we will do a justify content flex start. This way it puts it at the very top. So it'll be one rim off from the top. And then we also want to center it. So we'll say align items center. Like that. What else? I think that's it that we need right now. We'll probably want a background color. We'll just leave that as white for the time being. All right, so let's go down here and kind of lay out the structure of what we want this to look like. So I think all I really need here is I'm going to use some semantic HTML. I'm going to do a nav element. Oops. Like this, so people know this is our navigation element. And then inside this, I'm going to actually use a list, so an unordered list. And I guess I should probably do some emit command. So I'm going to do an unordered list, and I'm going to have an li. I'm going to have 3 of them. And obviously it could be more depending on how many items you want in this navigation menu. And then each li is going to have a button, and you could probably argue this could be a link or a button. I'm going to use a button in this case. Like that. And each of my buttons should be of type button. Type button, like that. And then we're just going to have each one of these button items be like one of our menu items. So let's say if this was on an actual website, you'd probably have home, you'd probably have an about, and maybe you'd have a contact. Could have others, right? And so now we've got our list here. And let me make this a little bit bigger just so we can see it. All right, that looks terrible. But that lays out the initial structure. Now, we do need, if we look back at that image, right? If we look at the structure here, I think we're calling our nav as kind of this element that's wrapping the entire thing. And then we have our unordered list, which is inside of that. And then each button is one of these, or each list item with a button is I guess a tab or a pill or a page, whatever you want to call it. And then we also are going to need the white pill to be something that we're going to slide it along this container. So I'm going to make that a separate element. You could probably do this a little bit of a few different ways, but this is the one in my head that seems the most intuitive. So I'm going to go ahead and make a separate element. I'm going to call it like pill, and it really can be anything. In this case, I'm just going to make it a div. Yeah, I'm just going to make it a div, and I'm going to have it sit. Let's see, it's going to sit in my nav container. Yeah, because I don't want it in my list. And I'm going to add a class of pill. Like this. Class of pill. That way we can just distinguish it. Alright, now we need to... So with this structure, this is pretty much the only structure we need. And basically the JavaScript that we're going to add is basically just going to be an event listener to each one of these buttons that moves this pill around to properly place it behind or in front, however you want to think about it, behind or in front of a button. So let's go ahead and start with styling the nav. Let's see, the nav we're going to need to do, I guess we're going to need to do something like a flex box. So we'll probably need to do, let's see, nav is going to be, oh, we don't need nav, is going to be display flex. That should put everything on the same line. Oh no, we need display UL. Yeah, that's what we want. We also want this to be a list style of none. That. We probably want a gap here, so let's put a gap of like 1 rim. Let's also explicitly set the root font size. So let's come up here and we'll say root font size is root. Say font size is, we'll make it 16 pixels. Makes it kind of explicit. There we go. All right, now what we want to do is we want to say the pill is positioned relative to the nav. So the nav needs to be position relative, right? Because the pill we want to position absolutely. Dot pill is going to be position absolute, just like that. That'll be more important in a little bit. We're also going to want to set a max width, right? So we're going to want to do some calculations essentially with our CSS. So let's come up here and let's set, we're going to set a few things. We're going to set basically all the fixed heights and weights that we need to make sure that our buttons line up correctly and that our pill can cover the buttons correctly, that we have proper alignment. All right, so what do we need? We need a nav width. So let's just say nav width is going to be, let's say 300 pixels. That's arbitrary, right? We could make it something different. Let's set a pill color, I guess you would say. Yeah, pill color. All right, so we got our, let's see. So we need a pill color. So let's also set a pill color. Pill color is going to be just white, like that. And then we're going to want a pill height and a pill width. The pill height is arbitrary. Let's just set the pill height to be 30 pixels. But the pill width is what needs to be dynamic. So the pill width is essentially going to be equal to is basically going to be equal to the overall size of our nav divided by the number of buttons in our nav. Yeah. And then we also need to account for the gap, I think. Or maybe not. So let's just say this is going to be calc var nav width. I think we have one extra parens in there, don't we? Oh. Yeah, there we go. And then we're going to divide this by 3. So let's come down to the nav. And we'll say width is going to be equal to var nav width. Like that. Oh, and then since our nav is not spanning the page, right? That's what's happening here. We inspect this. Got our body, but now our, oh yeah, we basically need to align this. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so we need to say align items center. Oh. No, justify content center. Justify content center, like that. There we go. All right, and then we need some styling for our buttons there, right? So let's make our buttons be nav li button. This is going to be a background of none. We're going to have a border of none. Cursor is going to be pointer. That way we can still hover over. That way we still get the button look like, hey, you can click on this, but they don't look like a button. Let's set our, we can leave our colors black, that's fine. Oh, whoops, I'm not in NeoVim here. So cursors, pointer, we want a border radius. We do want a border radius, but more important, we want to set a height and a width. So height is going to be var pill height, right? Because we want our buttons and the pill that's going to overlay them or stack behind them to be the same size. So we'll say width, and then width is going to be var pill width. And then this is actually going to apply to our pill as well. So let's just grab these, copy that, paste that there. All right, nice. Okay. Okay, then we need to add, so if we go back to the image again, did I get rid of the image? Whoops. Go back to the image so we can see what we're doing here. So if we go back to the image, right, so we need to add like a container around this, or at least a background color, so we can differentiate the actual nav from the background. So let's color that. What is that color? Let's see, Win, Shift C. That, we'll say nav, background color. There we go. And then now we need to do a little bit of, I don't know, what would you call it? We need to do a little bit of border radiusing. Well, the border radius we want is a pill. So we want the pill appearance, and in order to achieve that, we'll say pill border radius is just going to be 999 pixels. And we can come down here and we can say var, or say border radius, var, pill, border radius. That should now give us that. Yep, that's what we want. And then I think the problem why the spacing looks off right now is because within these LI containers, let's see, maybe I don't want gap. What does that look like? Yeah, that looks better. There we go. Okay, that looks much better. Okay, now what we want to do is we want to have our pill have like a highlighted or highlighting color. So we'll just make it white. So we'll say background color is going to be var, or no, it's not var, it's just white. That. Okay, that's great. However, we want the button text to be in front. So let's set a Z index on our button to 1. Does that bring it forward? I don't think that brought it forward, did it? Oh, that's because oh yeah, because the pill is outside the LI. So I guess we should bring the should we bring the pill inside the UL? But that seems like it's not the right thing to do. Because if I do, let's see, let's set an opacity here. Let's say opacity of 0.5 like that. All right, here's what I'm going to do. I don't know if this is cheating, but let's, in order to make sure that this doesn't look strange, like in terms of having a div inside of an unordered list, let's make this an LI element. Let's make that an li element. All right, and then we can set this back to the full opacity. There we go. Now we can put our button should have a z-index of 1, right? Yeah, z-index of 1. Pill is absolutely positioned. It needs to always start left of 0. That should be at the very beginning, like that. Yeah, that should work. Okay, and then let's also give it a border radius. Border radius of bar pill border radius, like that. Okay, now we got the rounding effect there. Now our nav needs to have a little bit of space around it, kind of like how CapitalOne's was. A little bit of space around it. Where do we do that? Nav, yeah, on nav. So we should say, let's do padding. Let's see what 1 looks like. That's way too much. And do we want it? I guess we don't want it on the nav. I guess we want it on the UL. Padding 1. What's that look like? Looks the same. Oh, you know what? And I think also I don't want position relative here. I want position relative here. And then then we'll put our padding. There we go. Then that's way too much padding. There you go, that's better. Okay, we still have this issue where we can't see the button text. Alright, that's still an issue. So I think what we want to do there is to make the button visible. I thought I put a z-index of 1 on the button. Let's put the pill at the top. Like that. And then position absolute, left 0, height, width. I don't know why the z-index isn't having an effect. That should bring it forward. What if I do z-index -1? That puts it behind. Let's do z-index of 1. We'll make this a z-index of 2. And we'll make this a z-index of 0. What does that do? No, it still puts it over the top. Why is it putting it over the top? Doesn't make sense to me. Yeah. Okay, so I should only need a z-index of 1 on the pill. No. I shouldn't need that one. I shouldn't need that one. Shouldn't need this one either. Display, or sorry, z-index of 1. And then let's make the nav LIs. Display, flex, align items, center, justify, content center. There we go. It was because of the display property on the LI. So there we go. So now we've got the button on top. We've got all the buttons here. Now what we need to do is we need to slide this pill basically we want to slide it over the button, each button we click. So we need a transition on the button. And so the transition is going to be transition, let's just do all, and we'll say 0.3 seconds, and we'll ease. Now we need to use some JavaScript to move that button around. And we're going to need a reference to the pill, and we're going to need a reference to the button. So we'll say const pill equals document.query selector, and we'll say get me the pill, or give me the element with the pill class. And then we'll need const buttons equals document.query selector. I guess we could just do button, but I guess we should make it more specific. We'll say nav li button, that. And then for each button, right, for each button, we need to do something. We need to do something. Let's actually do, yeah, we just need the button. That's all we need. And then for each button, we're going to add an event listener. Add event listener. Yeah, event listener. And we want to listen for a click. And then when the click happens, we're going to do something. And when the click happens, what do we want to do? We basically want to get the current position of the button. Or we basically just want to get the width. We want to get the offset width and the offset left of the button, and just set that so that the pill has the same offset width. It basically has the same width and has the same left position. So we'll say const button width equals button dot offset width, I think is what it is. I know it's all lowercase. Offset width, and then we'll say const button left equals button dot offset left, like that. And then once we have those, we can grab our pill and we can say, hey, for that pill, get the style property and set its left to the button's left. Buttons left, and then pill.style.width, yeah, the width of it to button. Well, I mean, actually, do we need to do the width? I don't think the width. I think we just need the left. Yeah, like that. And then we just need to do this the first time it loads, I think. We just need to say... Well, I don't think we need to say the first time it loads, do we? Okay, so if we hit click on this, what happens? Nothing. Let's see, buttons. Oh. Query selector all. There we go. See, button is not defined. Query selector all nav. Oh, nav ul button. Still button is not defined. Oh, this should be B. Sorry. B. Okay, nothing's happening. We're not animating. Let's see if we reload the page. Nope. Let's see. What if I do set the width? I don't think we need the width, but let's see, width equals button width. No, that's not working. Let's console log this. Console.log. Button. Left. Button. Width. Like that. Let's see what we log out here. Oh goodness. Okay, so we're getting a lift. So maybe it's something with my styles here. So we have a transition. Do we need we probably need a transform, don't we? No. The transition should just happen because we're transitioning all. Let's see, let's console log the pill. Console.log pill. It's not moving. It's not animating. Oh, I know why it's not animating. Because I don't think these are valid units, are they? So let's go back here. We need to actually set this to, we need to interpolate this as button left and then pixels. See if that makes a difference. There we go. And now we have our sliding clicker animation. Although it goes too far to the left. So we probably, oh, we do need a width then. So let's say pill style.width equals button width pixels. All right. There we go. Now we're going still going a little bit too far to the right there. So how come when it starts it doesn't... Let's see. It's something with my padding here. So let's remove my padding there. All right, so there we're getting the proper, just good. So do I want my padding here on the UL element? Padding 0.25 rim. What does that look like? No, that doesn't put it in the right place. Still touching the edges. Okay, so let's put the padding back where we had it. And let's make this display flex. Okay, we're going a little bit too far off on the right now. The left is good. So why is that happening? Okay, so we need the width of our container width to be 100%. Oh. So we're overflowing something here. Oh, because the nav is fixed. Yeah, the nav is a fixed width. So do we want the fixed width to be on the UL? And then there we go. We just had the width applied at the wrong spot. All right, look at us. Okay, the last thing is, I guess we might want to change the color because the image we're looking at does change the button color. So I think we could just do that in our callback here. We could just say, I guess we could just toggle. Like, what is that blue color? Windows Shift C. The blue color is this. Oops, I just closed that. I shouldn't have closed that. Let's see. So we could say b dot style dot color equals this. So we actually need to remove it. So we could have a class, right? We could have yeah, because that's basically what we're doing is we're just toggling, let's say, dot active. And we'll just come up here. Oh no, that's not where the active class goes. Not in the type field. Gosh dang it, Steven. We'll say class equals active, like that. Then we'll just go right here. We'll say dot active has a color of that. And then we'll say button dot class list dot toggle, and we'll just toggle active. Oh, but we want to do it to every button each time it's clicked. That's kind of messy. But so we need to say button for each button. Again, we say b dot class list dot toggle active, like this. They say so we only want to toggle the one we're clicking on. So we'll say, how do we want to do this? I'm trying to think of a better way of doing this to apply the color. I mean, we basically need to do exactly what I was just doing. We just need to say if it's I think we can do this based on reference. So we can say if e dot target, yeah, if e dot target equals B. Then we want to do B dot add or class list dot add active. Return. Otherwise, we want to do B dot class list dot remove active. God, that's messy, but I think that'll work. Yep. There we go. And now we've got our animated sliding pill navigation. I guess we could add like a box shadow to the pill. That might make it look a little bit better. So let's go boxed shadow. And I can never remember the proper way to do a box shadow. So we could do 0.25 rim. Let's do also 2.5. No, let's do 5 rim. We'll set this to RGBA. We'll make it basically black with really low opacity. And that way there's a little bit of lift off around the button or around the pill. Yeah, I like that. Now we've got a little bit of some dimensionality, some depth. Yeah, I'm happy with that. So this was the goal. Where's the image? Here's kind of where we were on the image that we started with. Make this a little bigger. And here's where we ended up. Maybe they're a little bit too big for the container. Yeah, it's the same idea. Maybe make the font bold for the button. That might bring us a little closer. Not font color button. Font weight. Sorry, font weight bold. Yeah, there you go. That's a little better. Yeah, I like that. Okay, cool. I'm happy with that. That was fun. Okay, this was a little bit different video. Like I said, I just wanted to kind of sit down and I saw this and thought, hey, I'd really like to try to recreate that in a web UI. Whoops, I switched pictures there. How do I go back? There we go. Sorry, I had to look at my thumbnails. Yeah, so I'm happy with that. Like I said, a little bit different video. It's just kind of off the cusp. Let's see if I can recreate this. And yeah, I'm happy with it. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you like this style of video, let me know. If you enjoyed it, leave a comment. Otherwise, I'll see you guys in the next one. All right, bye y'all.